Hey guys, so it's Michael. So what we're going to do here, I'm just going to show you how I've installed a cloud server using Rackspace Cloud. So if you're a full-time member of Village 88, you should have access to this where you can just set one up, and then once you're done, you can just destroy it so that it doesn't cost us money. But adding a server is really easy. You just click and you can. I do like this new one. But I mean they keep updating stuff, right? So let's just choose one and let me make the screen a little bit bigger. Alright, so let's go ahead and install one and just use the smallest one, and then here I'll just do test. Alright, and you'll just have to wait a little bit and it will go and set up the server. Okay, so go ahead and record this password somewhere. So usually you can just open up a text editor. I'm using my Mac, but this is just the same thing if you are doing it on a PC. Alright, so record, close, and it's gonna set things up. And it's pretty quick. It does it in about I think 2 minutes or so. But notice if you scroll to the bottom, they give you an IP address. So what you can do is you can open up a terminal like PuTTY if you're using Windows, and you can connect. For me, because I'm using a Mac, I'll have to just log in as a root, and I put in the IP address there, and let me actually just wait a few minutes until this build is complete. So again, it takes a few minutes. Okay, so the status is complete. It took about a minute. So let's go ahead and log in. So if you're using PuTTY, just connect to that IP address and you're going to connect as a root. And then it's going to ask you for the password. It may ask you a question, just type in yes if it does. Put in the password, and then it's going to log you in. This is the new cloud server. So congratulations. So now, SliceHost really, I think they have the best articles. So you can just go through and do things. So, I logged in. You can skip all that. You can change the password. So let me just change the password to whatever. And it doesn't really matter very much. You can go ahead and add a group. It is important to do this. So let's say, yeah, so if you added this, just follow this along. So you're going to add a group called Will, and you're going to create a new user, like, for me, M Choi or Michael Choi, whatever. And then you're going to add this user to the Will, so that basically anyone that's in the group Will can have a sudo access. So sudo access means if you log in as that user, you can run sudo command to do things that only root can do. And it's just much more secure than logging in as a root. You can skip this whole SSH keygen. You don't really need it. It could make it more secure, and if you have SSH, then you can only log into the server from certain computer if you have that SSH file, but I think you don't really need that. So this one is important. So let me exit out. So you do Control X, and then nano etc. So it is important to understand what you're doing. So take time, and sometimes you just have to do it more than once. The port, you can just leave it at 22. You don't need it at 30,000 or 31,000 or whatever. Permit root login, this is important. So you need to go and find where it says permit root login right there. The default is yes. You need to change that to no. And once you change that to no, that means you cannot log in as a root. So if you haven't done this step, if you haven't created another account for yourself, and if you disabled root login, then you're not going to be able to log into the server. And stuff like that happens, and if that happens, you just delete the server and just create a new one and just do it from scratch. IP table, there is a way better way to do this than using all this IP tables. Yeah, this is just frustrating. I mean, like, this is way too complicated, right? But you can install UFW, I think. So let's do sudo apt get install UFW, and this will install a package. Or maybe it is already installed. Okay, so it seems like for this Ubuntu is already installed. If you don't have it installed, you can run that command to install it. But I'm gonna allow SSH connection, I'm gonna allow HTTP connection. I'm gonna allow MySQL connection, and then I'm gonna enable. And if you do this, notice if I do IP tables, it already made it all secure. Like, that was so easy, right? So you didn't have to do all this crap. You basically made it work with that 4 commands. It's so awesome. Okay, so you do this, yeah, you can log out, log in, and then you're ready for part 2. All right, you can, yeah, you don't need to do that. Yeah, like, you don't really need that. I do like to do this, bash rc, and if you do that, and it just makes it look really cooler. Oh, I have a typing error. So bash rc is just used to, yeah, you can just do it and you can just see. So let's just scroll all the way to the bottom, and you can just copy and paste this, for example, and then Control X. Let's save it, and then we'll do source, so that the new, and notice how I just made it look really colorful. Yeah, it just looks better, huh? Yeah, okay, all right. So, I mean, it's not critical, but you can do that. Yeah, the language thing, yeah, you don't really need this. Okay, and then sudo, I think for Ubuntu is for version 10.4, I think it's aptitude. I think for this one is sudo apt-get. It's just different, but the syntax, everything else is pretty much the same. And there are just many different versions of Linux, but yeah, this one will do. Okay, so I finished the version 1 and version 2. Okay, so now the tricky part is, hold on, what am I doing? Oh, yeah, installing Nginx. So, well, actually, it's not tricky. It's really, really easy. But getting it to work with PHP 5 FPM, the documentation's out on the internet. They're just horrible. It took me 7 hours to get Nginx and PHP 5 FPM all installed because I had to look at like 20 documentation, and then like none of them had exactly what's needed. I mean, those are typical, and that's why we are creating the course, so that you don't spend 7 hours doing this. But Nginx, I think for you to install it is really easy, and this article is really good. The one in the references section, yeah, 10 million hits a day. It's pretty good, but their instruction is purely for WordPress, so you need to. We can't do exactly what they say, but I think installing Nginx is really simple. We just do sudo apt-get install Nginx, and this will install Nginx. And Nginx is so much faster. It's event driven, so it's not like you got 10 Apache things waiting for something to happen, and if nothing happens, they still sit there occupying your CPU and memory. Instead, only Nginx, only when things happen, Nginx kicks in and they take care of stuff, and they don't even wait for something else to be done. Like with Apache, if you got like 10 processes, like imagine 10 guys that are running around, and if one guy is like busy, they wait until that guy is done, which is like waste of resources. Nginx just goes and doesn't wait for like another request to be done. They just go and simultaneously grab whatever is needed and delivers that content. This may not make a lot of sense, but I mean, you can just go through the documentation and read more about what Nginx does. But it's much, much faster, and a lot of bigger sites use Nginx, so we should use it too. So now that we got Nginx installed, I think they installed it in etc. Yeah, look at that. It's in the etc Nginx folder, and I got site enabled. Yeah, I got sites available. Yeah, so yeah, and you just follow directions. But let me show you how it's set up for LMS. So let's go to Nginx, and let's go to sites available. So I have lms.village88.com, right? Okay, so let's do a vi command. Okay, so I haven't really, so I changed the root to have it go to that folder. I changed some other things. This one is talked about in the WordPress. Yeah, so you can run that. I specify the server name, and yeah, pay a lot of attention to this. This is how I made the PHP FPM work. So just like I'll copy and paste the setting too, so that you can see it. But again, I mean, I looked through like 20 different documentations and finally made it work. But you have to understand like what it's doing. So yeah, we're gonna send the request to php fpm www.sock, and this is going to process all the PHP requests, and this is way faster. PHP 5 fpm is way faster than just doing it through a PHP mod, which is what WAMP does, or what typical servers does. So that's that, and I think I had to change the configuration for PHP 5 FPM. Hold on, let me look at the exact URL. 5. There is an FPM folder, right? And then yeah, and then if you ever just need to change some of the PHP settings, you can go here and change it. It's just like normal PHP, but it's much faster. Okay, so I don't think I really needed to change any of the settings. Oh, I did change this, the listen. So it's the default, I believe, listen to port 9000, but I think let's do a search. So if I do slash, it does a search. Didn't find it. So let's search for the word listen. Okay, maybe I'm not doing something right. So let's just scroll down to the bottom and see where it does listen. Engine. Okay, looks good. Yeah, display error is on. I mean, you can turn that off if you want. Maybe I didn't change it. Interesting. Yeah, I did this 2 weeks ago. Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of stuff here. Okay. Oh, yeah, we needed to go to pull.d. Okay, so we were looking at the wrong file. Sorry. So pull.d, and then we need to change. Okay, and then here, if I do listen, yeah, notice how the default was listening to port 9000, but I changed it to the setting. So you will have to do that as well. So yeah, after you do that, to see whether it is working, is you just go to the site that you configured, and you do like PHP info, and if it says if it works, then you know that it's working. One thing that you could do is, before you install PHP FPM, just like put a normal text file and see if when you go to the site, like in this case lms.village88.com, see if you can see the text, and if the text is working, then you know that Nginx is working, and then you can go and try to install PHP FPM configuration. But I'm gonna go ahead and upload the Nginx setting, so that you can go and just see how I set it up to make it work for LMS. Alright, sounds good. So have fun, and with this, hopefully it doesn't take you 7 hours as it did. It took me a few weeks ago. Okay, alright, bye-bye.